So many people still believe that to get stronger means you need to have increased tension or tightness, and that pain has to be a part of that game. And these E's as a foundation of strength is all not about that. Because I work so much with people who have pain and they're recovering from pain and then they want to become stronger, I mean, we've just helped them resolve it. Why would we be adding it back in the mix, right? So this is really about how to help yourself progress so that you can feel really light, like you can start to develop that agileness and that ninja-ness in your movement, something other people have called effortless effort, right? So that's really what these Thursday series are all about. Actually, not Thursday, it's Wednesday. These Wednesday series are all about. So with this one, I've got a wooden block and I've got a pressed foam block. You can use something that's about this height. You might not even need it. We're gonna do a squat all the way down to the floor. My heels are not quite on the floor when I do a squat, so I have this. You can also use one of my foam spinal strips to do the same thing, or just even a rolled mat. Okay, but when we get there, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so what we're gonna begin with is on our backs, and we're gonna come up and place the block underneath the bum. Now I've got on the middle height. You can choose, depending on the time of day you're at, you can choose to do it higher or lower, but I just wanna have your pelvis up a little bit and settle into your inhale and your exhale. And feel the bottoms of your feet, the center of the heel, ball of the foot, and base of the pinky toe. And then notice where your shoulders are and just keep coming back to where your breath is in your body and where you feel your breath is actually moving. So where is there, in yoga we love to use the word open, and so I want you to focus on where you actually feel your breath moving, whether it's in your rib cage or in your belly. Where do you notice it? Yeah. And as I always like to say, how has your day been with you and you with your day? And maybe if you're coming out of being asleep. So I've recently woken up in the morning. So it's about 5:30 a.m. here. So just how was your sleep with you, and how are you with your sleep? Yeah. So you just get this overall general feel as you're coming into your practice. If you're someone who is postpartum and you just want to check in with your abdomen, just get a feel of where your abdomen is at. Maybe there was a diastasis, or there is, or just overall how this whole area of your body is coming together. All right, let's bring one ankle up onto the knee now. What we're gonna do is, let's bring it up like so. Let's do this. Bring the leg up, and then we're gonna rotate that leg bone. Have your hands on your pelvis. If you followed me before, you know that I'm such a big awareness person around what the pelvis is doing or not doing when we do this. So it's like, this is a leg bone motion. The pelvis does not have to move, but I also don't want you to have to grip and be rigid all around that pelvis or the rib cage. So it's just the leg bone doing that movement. We're gonna start to move that leg bone in rotation, and then bring that ankle down. So the whole time that pelvis was quiet, and then that leg bone's gonna continue to rotate. The front of that hip, when you move away, is not engaging. The hip flexors don't need to be used to push away. If you do, then you're kind of using them as a piston, and that's not what I want to help you train right now. I want you to use your bum. Yeah, your rotators. Yeah, so your hip flexor, as it goes away, is nice and soft. Yeah, good. And then take that off, and let's come to the other side. Leg comes up, rotate that leg bone, really be aware of that pelvis. Even if you think you're aware of the pelvis, like I think I'm aware of my pelvis, it's always so interesting just to come back and go, I wonder what's going on there. Really, I wonder what's going on there, right? Because things so shift and turn. And I mean, yesterday I was on the floor making a marble run and playing Hot Wheels, and you never know with crawling around on the floor just where things may have shifted or where they are in space. So it's a great way just to connect in with what your body parts are doing. Yeah. I should also tell you that I was completely tackled by my 3.5-year-olds. I was the one who had to say enough. Okay, take that ankle off. Great. All right, now we're going to bring that pelvis off. Okay, have the block handy still. Bring one leg up, knee comes over top of the hip if you can, pelvis is quiet. And then hand to knee to hand, press that knee into the hand. So now you are engaged in your hip flexors. Good. And just watch that you're not utilizing your opposite foot. So I'm not pushing with my right leg to press my left. This is all about the left leg. It's all about the left leg, that left hip flexor, being aware of what's going on further up the chain. When we're looking at building strength in my world, it's like, let's keep everything that's not involved in the movement as easy as possible, so that we're really actually having the focus on where we need to focus. This really is the action of the nuance that builds what I call the ninja qualities of movement, of agility. And it's why I'm such a believer in this idea of illness and injury can be an opportunity, because as you tune into those ninja qualities, you get better and stronger, and all of that starts to grow, right? So it actually serves you as you're able to connect into that. Okay, so now we're going to start our first little strengthy bit. So we got the block. I'm going to put mine in like this, but you can choose to make it less. And I'm going to face you to start with, to show you what I'm doing. So I've got the block between my legs, right in the meat of the legs, and you can see that my feet are a little wider, right? Because the block's here. And I'm going to squeeze the block. So you see what happens to my feet here? I'm squeezing the block so my feet come in. Now that might be too much for you. You might feel this. You might feel it back here. You might get all strainy. So then start it narrower and do the same thing. Okay. So you choose what you want to do, which angle. So the legs, you'll notice where your feet are placed because the block is in between your legs. Now squeeze those legs in. And then just notice what the heck you're doing with your rest of your body in order for that squeeze to happen. Because the only thing that needs to be happening are your adductors, your inner thighs, just need to be the only thing that is coming in. But watch what goes on up into your shoulders or into your neck or into your head, any of that stuff. Right? And so then either make the block thinner or go less. Yeah? For a moment, and then check in. Maybe go less for a sec. Okay, now check in with your adductors, check in with your neck, check in with your shoulders, check in with whatever wanted to kick in and say, okay. All right, shoulders, okay, neck, we don't need to be involved. The adductors, it's their job, so adductors, your turn. Kick on in, that's it, come on. And then you can also check in with your hip flexors. Okay, let's do that again. So now hip flexors. Hip flexors, you are holding the legs up. But in order to now do this action of the legs coming in, you don't need any extraneous work. Yeah? Good stuff, isn't it? All right, let's do another 5 breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Good. And then bring that down. Awesome. Just take a breather for a moment. See what you've done to yourself. You might notice something in your breathing. You might notice some freedom further up the chain. Your legs might feel just totally turned on. Okay, we're going to do another round. So legs are going to come up. Now you could have your legs against the wall and give your heels a bit of this and do it from there. You could do that. That is completely and 100% allowable. But because this particular day on Wednesdays is Ease as a Foundation of Strength, and on Tuesdays I go into deep dive, and on Mondays we're really looking at awareness and connection. I work with a lot of that stuff on those other days, and on Thursdays it's back to basics. That's why I'm focusing here. I'm not giving a lot of modifications or progressions, because I do that so much on the other days. Yeah? So here we just get to take all of those ingredients that I speak about there and really help to build up that strength, that capacity, the capability, and like I say, the ninja-ness, that agileness, the variability of movement. Okay, good. And then let that come down. Perfect. Okay. Lovely. Feel what's going on as a result of this work. Feel your feet, 3 points, center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe. And then roll over. I'm going to do a little post in a little bit around why I talk about 3 points and not 4 points. So stay tuned. I'll do one this coming week. All right, so from here, we're now going to come into a familiar one, which is goddess. And we're going to take the legs into rotation at the hip, right? So now you can feel your hip movement and feel those 3 points of your feet. And we're gonna lower down just a little tiny bit. So I want you to just lower to a place where you could be and have some tea. Take your hands, place them to the outer thighs, press those thighs in. Yeah. There are components of this particular practice that I did with a client last week, and they were, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see how things really started to move in her and the energy in her body starting to shift. Just relax your toes. And just watch if you're enduring this right now. And if you need to come up a little bit, come to a place where you can be. Like, it's not that we're waiting for time to pass, although we will be here for a period of time. You get to just be and feel your feet to your legs, the legs pressing into the hands, how your breath is doing. Good, and then come on up. Okay, let's take the legs together and now just feel what that is experienced as. Good, and then take those legs wide again and rotate. Now we're going to come a little lower if it's available. So bring the hands to the outside of the thighs. Now we're going to come a little lower. But you decide, right? Because it's your body, and it's not about enduring. We're building. We're in a space of ease, which I've been getting a little more bold as of late and saying, you know, which really is about love, and it's self-love, and it's so you're basking in the self-love that is helping generate ease, which is forming the foundation of strength. Yeah? So if you're enduring, just kind of think of what you're doing for yourself. And if that's trapping or if that's congealing the energy in your body, I love that word, congealing, or whatever other quality you want to look at, right? And so for what purpose? Because however you're doing this is what you're training. However you're doing this is what you're training. Now, granted, sometimes we just have to do something to get the belief that we can do it. I totally get it. I totally get it. And over time, that's how we start to build our habits, right? So then what are we training? What are we training? What are we training? What are we training? Yeah? So if your knee is sore, then of course, come up a little bit. If your back is sore, of course, come up a little bit. Yeah? Like notice what's the feeling. And I'm not going to necessarily feel good because right now my thighs are starting to work a little bit, right? And as I stay here longer, I can feel that. You like feel that more of that subtlety, feel more of that nuance, yeah? And notice if there's anything being built up further up the chain or down the chain, and that's tension and tightness, yeah? Okay, and then come on up, good. And now just notice what the experience is. Did that enable you to stand taller at all? Or is there any other freedom in your rib cage or in your neck or in your shoulders? Do you feel your feet more placed on the floor? So then this isn't just exercise for the sake of exercise, it's for like recalibrating what's going on in your body, and not just for once, but actually for growth, for connection. right? This is why when I teach my older adults, and they're so on board with it, it's like, it's not the end. Just because we're 65 or 60 or 70, it's not the end. Like, so much change can still happen when we are beyond whatever people determine as old age. Yeah, so come over here, come on down. Yeah. So it's, you gotta feel this nuance. So you can come down as far as you want to come, but you've got to be like in connection with your body. Yeah. Placing the hands on the outside of the thighs, press them in. Just relax your toes. Notice what's going on with the plantar fascia of your feet. Like, are you actually feeling like you're on a tripod? Or as you came from here and started to lower, did you lose that in any way? So just notice just before that point that you lost it, stay there. Or maybe you've got something gripping here, or something's happening here, or up in here, and then just go to that point where just before you lose it, like, find that point where there's still the integrity, there's still the form, because form changes when our function changes, right? So we want to focus on our function, but sometimes our form lets us know about what our function just did when we weren't aware. So then just notice, like, if you feel a goofiness in your form, then just come to a place where you notice your form's got a little more ease, a little bit more connection, and then pay attention to the function. And that's what we get to grow. Function actually leads to better and better form. Yeah? Awesome, awesome. Feeling those feet, feeling the legs, and then one more breath, and then come on up. Now, you can do this for a lot longer. I have practices where I'm in each of those for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. They're really fascinating practices. Okay, so now let's come to this block, or maybe you don't need a block. I need a block. And from here, we're just going to lower down into a squat. I'm almost there. My feet are almost there. Good. And then press through the ball of your foot, base of the pinky toe, center of the heel, those 3 points. And now just start to lift and lower. Lift and lower. So just watch what's going on through your shoulders. That you're not going and back. So stay with the joints that you're moving through, hips and knees. And when you come down, just don't plump. Really think about, as you're lifting, you're going through those knees and hips. You're not going too far. Yeah? All right, awesome. Okay, let that go. And now we're going to come here into a little bit of a crow and see how this shifts up your crow. So we're going to scooch on over, and my knees are coming up onto my arms. Now, some people put them onto the outside of the arms. That's totally fine. And feel the weight in through the hands and the arms, and notice the leg work that you've done, and if that's changed anything with how your arms feel. And then as you bring more and more weight over onto your hands and your arms, then what happens in through your, right? You just see how I just peeled at my toes? So what I've done here, which I love to teach, is you just bring more and more and more and more weight. And if you start to get a little bit afraid, that's okay. Stay in that point just before the fear comes in. Honor the fear. You'll get there, don't worry. Just honor the fear. That's a system. The system is telling you something. Good? And I really truly believe that. I don't think that if you don't push through the fear, you'll never get through it. I think that's not, I don't feel that's true. I do feel that when we honor the system, we honor ourselves, we get a lot further, a lot faster without all that extraneous wackadoodle tension. Yeah. Good. Awesome. Fun stuff, isn't it? Let's come back onto our back. Here. All right, let's bring one leg out, other leg out, bring into a twist, and feel how those shoulders are on the floor. And then back over. Hand to knee, take it into a twist. Awesome, awesome. And come on back and just have a notice of what you have done to yourself today. Feel the nuance, feel the whispers, feel your energy. Allowing for that awesome connection. And you can be there for as long as you would like. And you can take that feeling into whatever you do next, whether it's a workout or a run or a walk or a ski or simply to have some breakfast. You have a great practice and we will see you tomorrow.